A question that I get asked a lot is, how do you cruise on a budget? And in a past video, I actually talked about how when our kids were younger, we used to cruise on a camping budget, and it really is true. So in today's video, I'm going to share with you how you can cruise for less, where you can save money, some of those tips and tricks, and I did something a little bit more. I asked in my Facebook community for other people's tips and tricks and things that they use to save in certain areas and really still have an amazing cruise. I'm going to share all of that with you today. Hi there, I'm Ilana from the website lifewellcruise.com. Welcome back to my channel. Now in this video, we're going to be talking about all things cruising on a budget, including spending less while you're on your cruise, saving money before your cruise, as well as some do's and don'ts and things to avoid. Now, something that I should mention is it doesn't mean that you should never spend or splurge on something on a cruise, but this is up to you. But in this video, we're really going to focus on those areas where you can save, because it is better to go on a cruise and spend a little bit less than not go on a cruise at all. Now, before I get started, one more thing. If you like this video, please do give it a big thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. And please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. So let's start off talking about cabin choices. Now, most people who say that they really try to save money on a cruise will be looking first at their cabin, and interior cabins are going to be the least expensive usually on a cruise. So that's where you want to start. Now, if you want to save even a little bit more money, then what you can do is you can look for a guarantee cabin. Now, a guarantee cabin, all that means is the cruise line will actually choose your cabin number for you, rather than you choosing your cabin number and location. So sometimes you can save, it might be $40 a person, it might be $100 a person, it might be $200 a person or more by letting the cruise line choose your cabin rather than you choosing it. Now, if you're not picky about location, this is a great way to start off saving money on your cruise. When possible, drive to the cruise port. Not only will this save you money on the cost of the flight, but at the same time, because you're not going to have to pay maybe any extra fees for checked luggage, you're going to probably save money on that as well. Now, if you have just a drive of maybe less than 6 or even 12 hours, it can really be worth it. It can even add some fun to the cruise. And being honest, I've driven about 24 hours with my kids during the holidays. We've had a ton of fun with it, and we've probably been able to, we figured it was about $500 for the total cost for both ways to travel to and from our cruise, including hotel and our gas, versus approximately $2,000 or likely $3,000 if we would have flown during the same time with a family of 4. Skip the drinks that cost extra on a cruise. There's actually quite a lot that's included on a cruise. So you can have coffee and tea that's included on a cruise. You'll have water, of course, that's included, but you also have juice in the morning, milk in the morning, iced tea at all times. I will give you a little tip. The iced tea is unsweetened. If you want to sweeten it, you can put a little Splenda in it and then add a little touch of lemon. Now, Splenda dissolves in cold water, sugar doesn't, so you'll want to do that to actually sweeten it. There's also flavored waters at times, and there's some punch and other flavored water types. Now, another little tip is you can bring Crystal Light or any like flavored water pouches, and you can make the water on a cruise a little bit special. Add a grapefruit wedge or a fruit, and you've got even infused water if you like as well. Bring your own wine on board. Most cruise lines allow you to bring 1 bottle of wine per person on board. You can actually bring more than that many times and simply pay the corkage fee. Now, when you do bring the bottle of wine on board, if you do drink it in the main dining room, or rather I should mention, if you open it in the main dining room or one of the restaurants, if they open it for you, you will be charged a $15 corkage fee. So I have a little tip for you. What you can do is you can go to any of the bars, get a couple of wine glasses, bring them to your cabin, and you can fill up your wine glass in your cabin. You can have your wine in your cabin, of course, but you could bring your wine glass directly to the main dining room. And another tip is, if your wine bottle is open most of the time, as long as it's open before you get to the dining room, most of the time you won't be charged a corkage fee at all. Now, if you're a soda drinker, some cruise lines allow you to bring soda on board as well. Now, Carnival will allow you to bring soda. I believe it's 12 cans, if I'm not mistaken. But if you only drink soda occasionally, this can be a good thing for you to do. Now, as for water bottles, you do have a couple of choices. You can sometimes bring your own water bottles onto the cruise ship, or now you can actually get a package where you order water bottles to your cabin, which really is quite economical these days. And another little tip is consider bringing a refillable water bottle that you can simply refill on the ship itself. It is clean water, it is drinkable water. So this is a good idea because you definitely want to have water when you get off the ship, like when you go on shore excursions, or maybe if you're walking around the town, it can get quite hot, or on the beach, and you definitely want to bring clean water off the ship for those excursions. Book with a travel agent that specializes in cruises to get extra perks and even a better deal. Now, something that surprises a lot of people is travel agents most of the time don't charge for their services, and at the same time, they can't actually charge more than the cruise line for that same cruise and cabin. So you never really should be paying more with a travel agent, and sometimes you can actually pay less. Now, one of the reasons why, especially if you are booking early, is travel agents that specialize in cruises will actually hold several cabins, like possibly hundreds on a cruise ship. And when they do that, they're able to secure better early booking rates, and at the same time they're able to give you some extra amenities. So this can be extra onboard credits, like maybe a $50 onboard credit. This can be perhaps a bottle of wine, and sometimes it's even free gratuities when there is an additional promotion. Now, a tip that came up from a lot of frequent cruisers is to keep a close eye on the price of your cruise to see if it has gone down between the time that you put your deposit and especially the time of your final payment. Now, you can do this simply by checking the cruise line website, or maybe even by checking the website of wherever you may have booked, and just keep an eye on what the price is. At the same time, if you see the cruise line has a specific promotion, maybe now they're offering free gratuities or something, you could even call the travel agent or send an email and ask for them to simply do a little price check for you. Now, especially at the time when you're going to be making your final payment, even if you book directly with the cruise line, give them a quick call and ask them to verify the price of your cruise. Sometimes it has come down, and that is a really good time to check on it and to pay a little bit less, because they will honor the lower price. Now, a little thing to watch out for is if you did get some extra perks when you first booked, maybe some extra onboard credits or anything like that, if the price lowers, it will be at the prevailing rate and it may not have some of those things. So definitely make sure that you're always getting the best value. Now, if you've passed the final payment and you still notice that the cruise has gone down, there are still a couple of things that you can do. Sometimes you can upgrade to a higher category cabin. You can just pay that little difference in price. It might still be worth it for you. And there are times I've actually seen recently where people have mentioned that with Royal Caribbean in particular, that they have been offering some onboard credits. Now, I haven't had this experience, but I've seen this, and some frequent cruisers have recommended calling the cruise line if you've passed your final payment, letting them know and see if there's anything that they can do. Now, a tip to save money on your hotel before your cruise is to look for a hotel that includes breakfast, that includes perhaps parking, and that includes a shuttle. And this is another tip that many frequent cruisers use to save a little bit of money before their cruise. So when is the cheapest time, or the time that you'll get the best rates on cruises? Well, if you're looking at Caribbean cruises or Mexico cruises or Bahamas cruises, even Bermuda cruises, the cheapest time tends to be the fall. Another very inexpensive time, I find even sometimes better than the fall, is early December for those Caribbean cruises right before the holidays. Now, if you're looking at Mediterranean cruises, if you're looking at Alaska cruises, take a look at the entire season, and you'll want to book at the beginning of the season or the end of the season. That is when it's going to be the least expensive. Now, there's a little extra benefit of booking towards the end of the season. As somebody in my Facebook group pointed out, in Alaska, if you go towards the end of the season, like in September, you'll also find that in Alaska, in a lot of the shops, that you'll find the merchandise is on sale, often for 50% off as well. So let's talk about the cruise ports and excursions. Now, something that you'll probably want to do, whether it's to save money or simply even manage your budget, is to book your excursions ahead of time online. Now, oftentimes the cruise lines will have promotions. It can be anywhere from 10, maybe to 35% off by booking it ahead of time on your pre-cruise planner. But also something that you'll want to do is research your cruise ports. Now, you don't have to take an excursion in every port. There are some advantages to taking an excursion with a cruise line. Number one is that you have the safety factor of the cruise ship will not leave without you if your excursion is late. So definitely, if you're doing an excursion that is a long day or is something that is far away from the cruise port, or even if it's your first time in that cruise protocol, consider taking an excursion. But you'll also want to research your cruise ports. In some cases, you might want to walk just around the cruise port area. It might be just very beautiful, and you can do that. In other ports, you can take a taxi or even a hop-on bus. And another tip that many cruisers have is sometimes consider staying on the ship and not even getting off in the cruise port. Now, if it's your first time in the port and you really want to see the area, then definitely get off and enjoy. And even if you spend a little bit of money, it's going to be memories and it's worth it. But if you've already been to that destination before, consider skipping it, staying on the ship, making yourself an extra sea day that you'll really enjoy. You'll even find that on those port days, there are some specials for the spa and some other things on the cruise ship. So it might be worth it if you are going to splurge on an extra to do it on a port day. Unless you're a big drinker, skip the alcohol beverage package. Now, personally, I love having a beverage package as a perk, but if I have to buy it at full price and it's not on special in any way, well, I would have to drink probably on most cruise ships about 8 drinks a day, every day, just to make it worth it. So for me, I know it's way more than I usually would drink, and it definitely wouldn't be worth it. So calculate for you. But in many cases, if you bring a couple of bottles of wine and maybe you drink a couple of drinks a day, you are better off not buying the beverage package. Plus, take advantage of some of those happy hour specials. Make sure to bring some items from home so you don't spend money on these on the cruise ship. So a lot of these are just your basic toiletries. They tend to be really pricey on a cruise. Obviously, it's convenient to buy them there if you do need it, but try to be completely prepared before you go. I will leave some packing lists and things like that down in the description below. Now, as well, make sure you have your over-the-counter medication, feminine products. They tend to be very pricey. Sunscreen, lip balm, aloe vera, all of that stuff. If you're going to need Wi-Fi or internet while you're on the cruise ship, then make sure to buy it online before your cruise. Now, not all the time, but many times this is actually going to be less expensive if you do purchase it online. It seems like a lot of cruise lines are trying to encourage people to make these pre-cruise purchases, and they're offering a discount of maybe 20 to 35% or even 50% by booking this ahead of time. Now, if you don't really need internet while you're on the cruise ship and you can wait until you get to the cruise ports, then consider maybe unplugging and not even buying the internet package, because it still will add up to $100 or more for a 7-night cruise. Now, this tip isn't for everyone, but for some people, I think you might really like it. You can buy 100 shares of a cruise line stock, and then when you go on each and every cruise, you will get an extra onboard credit. So for example, if you owned 100 shares of Carnival stock, when you go on a Princess cruise, you would get for a 7-night cruise $100 onboard credit per cabin. If you have a longer cruise, you can get as much as $250 onboard credit. Now, every cruise line has something a little bit different, so make sure to look into the fine print, but this can be something really good and beneficial for you, especially if you cruise more than once a year. Now, this next tip is one that I've never used before, but it comes up quite often, and it's consider getting the cruise line's credit card. You will get points and you can use that towards a future cruise. So that could be something good. There's also something where you can get Allstate Rewards, or you can buy gift cards through AARP. And people have said that you can get anywhere from a 5 to a 12% discount. Now, when booking a cruise, take a look at some of those special rates. So take a look at resident rates, at senior discounts, at the military discounts, and at the same time, if you are booking a cruise on Celebrity, now you probably know that Celebrity is now always included, meaning that your Wi-Fi, your gratuities, and your classic beverage package are included in the price. However, if you want that lower rate at cruises that are usually coming up maybe in the next 30 to 90 days, they often have a simply sale rate, which is a lower rate that doesn't include any of those extras, so you can take a look at that. Now, if you're looking to save money for your cruise in advance, there are a few things that you can do. You can set up an automatic saving system where money is withdrawn from your account every paycheck, or you could do something where you save all of your change in a jar. If you want to do a family cruise, you might want to forego all of the Christmas gifts one year and instead do a family cruise as a Christmas gift. You can even ask family and friends and relatives to give money as spending money for your kids for the occasion. Another way to find the best price on a cruise, especially if you're 3 or 4 people in a cabin, is to look for those kids' sale free prices. And sometimes they are not advertised, but the price of third and fourth passenger in the same cabin is significantly reduced. So this is something really good for families, even if you're booking a year or more ahead of time. Now, something really important to keep to your budget on the cruise is to keep an eye on your account daily. So you can go down to guest services and you can get a printed copy of your account, or you can take a look on your phone or even on your stateroom TV, and you can just make sure, first of all, that everything charged is as it should be, and at the same time that you are kind of not going over on your budget. Perhaps you're buying more drinks than you think. Nobody wants a big nasty surprise at the end of your cruise. So now let's talk about a few things that you'll want to avoid on your cruise to save money. So you probably do want to stay out of the shops. If you want to buy a couple of souvenir t-shirts or something, that's just fine, but maybe just try to keep to your budget. Now, you might have some extra onboard credit, so this is a good thing to use for any of those souvenirs or nice things that you do want to purchase. Another thing as well is just to avoid the specialty restaurants altogether. Now, I'm not against specialty restaurants. I think that they really are quite good. However, the main dining room food on a cruise is really good, and there are a lot of casual restaurants that are good to excellent. So take advantage of that and do a specialty restaurant on a future cruise. Now, for obvious reasons, you'll want to avoid the casino if you do think that you will spend too much there. Now, if you do like the casino, what you can do is you can just have a budget of maybe $20 or $40 or $100, whatever amount you feel is your entertainment money. Now, I should mention there are people that do point out that they get amazing casino rates, but something they do say is they are aware that they're not actually saving money with casino rates, but they're having fun, they're having their entertainment, and in the future, cruise lines often will send them great discounts, if not free cruises, under the casino rate program. Other things to avoid are avoid all of those paid seminars and paid classes. There are a lot of things included. So even at the gym, you'll always find that there are some free classes that are really good, and there are some paid classes as well. So if you're trying to save money on a cruise, just avoid those paid classes and stick with the things that are free or included. Now, one final tip that I have, and it might be surprising given the title of this video, but it's to not necessarily book the cheapest cruise. Now, what I mean is to look for the overall value of your cruise. So first of all, for price itself, maybe a cruise includes a lot versus another cruise that has a lower price, but that doesn't include a lot. So that definitely is one reason. But also is to look at the value of the cruise and the value of the experience for you. Is one cruise line cheaper, but another cruise line that might be $100 more per person? Does it offer better food or more activities that you'd really enjoy, an atmosphere you'd prefer, an itinerary that you really like? So take a look at the overall value and not simply the cost of the cruise. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What are your tips? What are your strategies to stay on budget, to save money on a cruise? Let's help each other by sharing those tips in the comments below. I'm going to leave a video at the end of this one, and it's all about money saving hacks on a cruise, including my own DIY sangria. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please do give it a big thumbs up. I really appreciate it. And of course, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Bye for now, and happy cruising.